you going to Lummi? Because you went with Betty?
with Betty Wells.
Ah, uh-huh. Well, tell me about that trip because I didn't really hear about it.
Well, Jen invited both of us to Lummi, and we went there and had a lovely time. And I was trying to learn in the evenings to learn bridge all over again, but it was too short a time to relearn bridge.
Right. So don't you love that deck? Uh, it has she named it the deck of lost ambition, which I thought was great. Lost ambition.
Lost ambition, what was that?
That's the deck. You know, where you sit on the deck looking out at the water and the moon, and you forget that you have any ambitions at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah, it's a very special place that she found. So how did you? Were you a theta?
Hmm?
Were you a theta at Berkeley?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was in the same pledge class as Janet,
oh,
and I set myself a task of remembering all of the pledge sisters, and there were 22 of us.
wow,
And I finally did it. I got all the names on a piece of paper,
that is great.
but it was hard to do.
Now, were you? You were probably the studious one. We have a lot of pictures of my mother dancing around in the Tonga room and having a lot of parties. Or did you join in all that, as well
Probably was.
as well as your studies? We think she didn't study too much.
But I can remember Jan had a date, and she came running into my room at the Theta House. I was sharing it with Jance Julius,
Mm.
and Jan came in and said, "Oh, I have a date." And she grabbed a newspaper and lay down on the floor and was reading all the latest things. And she said, "I have to have something to talk about on my date." And so we helped her read something, and she went off primed with all of the news so she wouldn't have a lag in the conversation.
That's a good tip.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good tip for young people.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. That's a really good
That
story.
was your mom.
Well, she did have a lot of dates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
She sure did.
Yeah, we as her daughters didn't have half as many dates. We don't know what happened, but she was the belle of the ball. We were not really the belle of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But that's funny. And did you meet Bob at Cal?
Well, in those days, we had lots of boyfriends,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't just have one person,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so we couldn't sleep with any of them because
That was not
there
allowed.
were so many of them.
Oh. So where did you meet Bob?
But
Where did you meet Bob?
oh, I was after I graduated, and I was living in San Francisco. I went to work for a judge, and he went to work for another judge on the California Supreme Court. So it's called clerking.
Oh, right.
And we met because all the clerks used to go to lunch together.
Oh.
And we'd walk over to a local restaurant, and I got to know him that way slowly.
That's a good way to know someone.
Mm-hmm.
There must not have been too many women clerking.
There were the Chief Justice for whom I worked liked to hire women, so that's how we met.
That's great. Well, good choice.
And Jen met. How did Jen meet Boney?
Oh, they met on a boat to Europe.
On a
After,
boat to Europe?
yeah, after the war, she wanted to get back to Europe, and so or first time, she got on a boat to Europe to go to a conference, an international conference about with students from all over the world to begin to build relationships, you know, in the countries that had been fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a big conference in Prague. So she's somehow finagled herself to be a representative with Natalie. Did you know Natalie?
Natalie Dowell?
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think I don't know. Yeah, and my dad was presenting at that conference. He was
A presenter?
yeah. I mean, he was a student too, but he was, you know, the top of his class at Columbia in New York. So he was presenting something about rebuilding nations, or I don't know. He was a history major. And he got there because he didn't have any money, but he was able to get a scholarship to go because he was
He
presenting.
was able to get what?
A scholarship to go because he was presenting. And then they met. And then they met on the boat. And then they met in Prague. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a long distance relationship. And then they got married. But that was pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Well, I can remember that Jan and I both knew Cliff Hammerlane, his name was. I haven't thought of him for years. But anyway, he was a friend of hers from time she lived in Southern California
Oh.
when she was
Sailing?
her home. Where did she live?
Yeah, Newport.
Newport.
Yeah.
And Cliff, she'd known Cliff Hammerlane back when she was a student.
Oh.
See, I've got to sit up or I can't keep talking.
Can I do something for you?